Okay guys, welcome back. I'm Brad, back at Reaction Nation. I'm thinking about changing the channel name, but I want you guys to hit me up in the comments. Tell me if I should. I want you to like, subscribe, share, comment, do everything you can to make this channel bigger than what it is, so we can be here years and years and years in the future. But today, we're going to skip a little bit. We're going back to amazing top 10s, but we are reacting to their top 10 evil people from history we wish we could forget. This is part 4. I will go back and do the other parts, but I saw a particular person which made me jump to do this reaction video. But in the meantime, let's hit it.
I can't wait. It's gonna be so much fun. Okay, so here we are, part 4. The list goes on and on, my friends. Like part 3, I dove into the comments to see what you wanted next, but I also asked my fellow M8 team to see who they wish they could forget. Because we learn about a lot of people on this channel that we just really wish we didn't have to have nightmares over. Welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10, everyone. I'm your host, Rachel Fisher, and here is our top 10 evil people from history we wish we could forget. Part 4, let's go. Number 10, Martin Shkreli. Oh, this freaking guy. He makes me so mad. And no, he's not a serial killer. No, he isn't some cruel world leader. He is a man who decided that making money was more important than helping cure a devastating disease, which is so funny.
Okay, already, I really hate this guy. But let's go.
For helping people ease their symptoms. Imagine that the vaccine that could save your life, I don't know, for COVID, and allow you to see your family and hug them cost more money than you have in your bank account. Imagine if someone did that during this pandemic. We wouldn't be happy, would we? Now you know where I'm going with this. Martin Shkreli is the creator and founder of Turing Pharmaceuticals that acquired 62 Daraprim in 2015. Daraprim is used to treat a life-threatening parasitic disease and prevents toxoplasmosis in patients with HIV. It's also used to treat cancer, malaria, and AIDS. So, pretty damn important. Shkreli decided to find a way to raise the price from $13.50 to $750. Yeah, making it unattainable to many who needed it. A 5,000% overnight increase despite the fact that it only cost around $1 to make. Yeah, work that out. Shkreli's argument for the increase was that he wanted to use the money to invest in creating a new, better drug. Yeah, sure, dude.
Cap. He just is lying. He just a greedy bastard who will burn in hell for this. Like, you can save countless lives, and this is what you do? Yeah, you capping. You just saying that in court.
Funny enough, in his 20s, he caught some attention for encouraging food and drug companies not to approve the drugs he was shorting in the market. So if you're a fan of GameStop, you know what I'm talking about. This is the kind of guy that they were trying to teach a lesson to. The price of the drug still remains the same today, and Martin is now in prison for fraud, and he will not be let out early. Good. Number 9, Lavrenti Beria. This one was put forth by commenter Brian Runyon, and what a good choice. We talked about Stalin in part 1, and it only makes sense that we talk about Beria. Aside from the ruler himself, Beria was the most hated man in the Soviet Union. When Stalin passed away in 1953, the horrors of his rule were far from over, and Beria can be thanked for that. During the 1930s, he oversaw the bloody purges and succeeded Nikolai Yezhov after he was shot by Stalin on Beria's recommendation. He ran the Soviet network of slave labor camps and indulged his dark delights in some of the worst ways you can imagine. He loved to torment the prisoners in a variety of ways, and his cruelty knew no bounds. I can't go into detail without being bleeped to heck, so you can imagine. After Stalin's expiration, he took over state security and internal affairs, which put him in control of the secret police, leading to many people fearing him more than they did Stalin, which says a lot. As a result, conspirators within the party had him forcibly removed and executed, though some believe that he escaped as the events of the arrest are cloudy. Still, a bunch of evil men were scared of an even more evil man, so he must have been that bad.
You have to be evil to take over the operations of Joseph Stalin. One. Two, he's not smiling like some of those freaks are. Some of those other evil people, they seem to have a lot of photographs where they were doing a lot of smiling. He seems to be having a little smirk though.
Right? Number 8, Ela Koch. Born in Dresden, Germany, Ela hopped on board the German Evil Party campaign pretty early in 1932 and later married Karl Otto Koch. It was this union that would lend her all the resources she desired to satisfy her bloody lust and really macabre Pinterest ideas. By that point, let's just say this power couple makes number 9. Karl was the head of the Sachsenhausen concentration camp, who was later commissioned to build a new concentration camp called Buchenwald. Ela, meanwhile, earned the title of the Witch of Buchenwald due to her sadistic and inhuman tendencies. She would ride her horse through the camp and whip prisoners and had, shall we say, eclectic taste when it came to interior design. She loved trophies, Buffalo Bill style, and she delighted in lampshades, book covers, and gloves made from, well, it wasn't cow leather. She even had shrunken human skulls. It was due to the many testimonials of the prisoners at the camp that Ela was tried for her cruelty, though sadly, she never completed her full sentence. She took her own life in her prison cell. Is it bad that I wish someone turned her into a toilet seat cover?
No, but I hate all these criminals. They are such cowards. They do these horrible and horrendous things. When they get caught, they always commit suicide. They cowards. They don't want to serve the time that they've been dealt.
Number 7, Emperor Hirohito. About a dozen of you across 2 different videos recommended Hirohito, so here he is. Like most of the world, Japan in the 1930s was in no way peaceful. One of the most horrific atrocities in the world occurred under the reign of Emperor Hirohito, called the Nanking Massacre. In 1937, Japanese troops stormed the Chinese city of Nanking, where they slaughtered and tormented thousands of people in the most impossibly brutal ways. The events are closely related to the Sino-Japanese War and World War II. The Second Sino-Japanese War was a conflict between Japan and China, where Japan tried to essentially invade China. Chinese forces left the city of Nanking, though some stayed to defend it, but the result was a relentless, widespread brutality. According to some documents, Hirohito did try to say that he felt bad, and some believe there was little he could have done to stop it, as he was considered a figurehead. But still, figurehead or no, Hirohito approved of the annihilation campaigns in China, which included burning villages to the ground. The official numbers of how many were killed during the massacre are roughly between 200 to 300,000 people, probably more, and that doesn't include the millions that were killed during the rest of the wars they fought. Number 6.
You wouldn't think. There are evil people born every day. Evil people do evil things every day. But when you're talking about the lives that some of the people on these lists have taken, going up to the hundreds of thousands to millions, it's hard to grasp.
Fred and Rose West. This next recommendation comes from Central Dark's Lucy, and I am very much in agreement. Fred and Rose West were 2 people that should have never existed, yet they did. What's worse is that many considered them charming and normal, a good laugh. But what they didn't know were the horrific crimes they were committing in their very own community. The West sadistically tormented and took the lives of at least 9 young women on record, including their own daughters, between 1973 to 1987. The majority of them took place in their very home, which was constantly under construction, in order to cover up the crimes. While neighbors thought they were fixing up the garage or the garden, they were instead making their very own graveyard. The victims they took, who were not a part of their family, were lured under the guise of needing nannies. Fred took his own life after he was caught, though Rosemary is still living out her sentence.
See what I mean? Cowards. One of them anyway. The guy commit suicide just to not face the time for doing what he did. If you're going to do it, at least face the consequences like a man. Because a lot of these people that do this want to escape their time. They're men.
When I asked Lucy why this crime haunts her above others, she had this to say, and I quote, "Just the simple fact that they were hiding in plain sight, neighbors had no idea what was going on, a lot of their crimes they tried to credit to their bad upbringings, which is disgusting to me, just awful, awful people." She also recommends the book Fred and Rose, the full story of Fred and Rose West and the Gloucester House of Horrors for anyone who wants to know more to try and understand how evil like this could possibly exist.
You know what they say? They say one of the age-old questions, how much do we really know our neighbors? Clearly, this is really creepy. Someone getting murdering over, 8 or 9 people right in your neighborhood and you don't know.
Number 5, John Wayne Gacy. This was kind of like a me.
Oh, this man, he's really infamous. I'm sure a lot of you know who this is.
One, I really hate this one. John Wayne Gacy. Never mind it. I had to eventually put John Wayne Gacy on this list because for similar reasons to Fred and Rose West, he was hiding in plain sight. Behind that painted, joyful face was a cruel, sadistic man who took the lives of way too many people. I can't even begin to imagine what it would have been like to be his wife or his kids and finding out that this happened. Gacy took the lives in brutal, tormented ways of over 33 boys and hid the corpses in his very home. He hid behind the guise of a party clown named Pogo and was a community favorite. Everybody loved him! I think the fact that we can be so blind to something so blatantly horrific is the most terrifying part.
Yep.
But there were clues along the way. The first time he was arrested for an attack like this was in 1968, but was released after 18 months for good behavior. But when he was finally caught, the justice system served him up the death penalty, and there's no release on good behavior for that one. Number 4, Jean-Claude Duvalier. Haiti has been so resilient throughout the political and environmental turmoil it has faced over the last several decades, with the rule of Jean-Claude Duvalier being one of the reasons. He violated so many human rights in order to maintain the dictatorship. Under his leadership, the lives of hundreds of political prisoners held in the Triangle of Death were mercilessly taken. Many of the families still have no idea what happened to their family members. On top of that, they experienced the infliction of severe pain and maltreatment in order to extract information. Plus, the reason there were so many political prisoners was due to the heavy restrictions on freedom of association, assembly, and expression, meaning many radio stations and newspapers were closed and journalists were thrown into prison as well. Evidence heavily suggests that in November 1980, he ordered the mass arrest of activists who were later tormented and expelled from the country. Duvalier is responsible for one of the worst examples of mass human right violation, and we wish he just simply never existed. And his father too. Number 3.
You know, what I noticed about dictatorships is when they're forming, the people who are in control, they always want to control the news and the media. They always want to do it. I remember the late great John McCain said that, Trump wants to be a dictator, and in dictatorships, that's the first thing they try to do. They want to control the news and the media. What did Trump try to do? Control the news and the media.
3. Harold Shipman. Harold Shipman was responsible for taking the lives of over 260 patients who trusted him. Despite heading into medicine for noble reasons, his mother died when he was 17 and he wanted to dedicate his life to medicine, it had a deadly price. After attending the University of Leeds, he failed his entrance exam, which should have been like a stop sign right there, but he ended up getting a placement and was fired early on after that because it was discovered that he was forging prescriptions. Another thing that should have stopped him from ever being hired again. But nope, Donnybrook Medical Center and Hyde took him on, and boy was that a mistake. Thankfully, the local undertaker noticed a crucial pattern that probably saved hundreds more lives. He noticed that Shipman's patients were always found sitting or reclined on a couch or sofa, and then on top of that, Angela Woodruff's mother died, leaving behind a will giving everything to Shipman. That was that. Turns out Shipman was lethally injecting each patient before they left his office, giving them just enough time to pass away when they got home. Angela's mother had just been to see Shipman that day, and were it not for Angela, Shipman may have taken many more lives. No one knows why he did it. Perhaps he was trying to avenge his mother's death, or maybe he just liked playing God. Who knows? No.
Maybe he's just evil. some people are just plain evil.
Number 2, H.H. Holmes. Another very popular recommendation, H.H. Holmes. No relation to the fictional and benevolent Sherlock Holmes, though he is the reason behind the name. Dashing and deadly, Dr. Henry Howard Holmes is infamously known for his murder castle that ensnared victim after victim. He was in fact a genius, finishing school at the age of 16 and earning his doctorate by the age of 23, but earning an honest living was far from his mind. In fact, as a child, he showed an interest in medicine by practicing surgery on animals. In medical school, he got into the habit of stealing corpses and conning insurance claims, and as an adult, he conned and worked his way to earning enough money to construct his dream murder castle, or mansion of death. A hotel of labyrinths that led to peril. Each level was booby-trapped with trapdoors, mazes, and chutes that would drop his victims into the basement where vats of acid, quicklime, another version of acid, and a crematorium lay where he would burn the bodies. Like his old medical school days, he also took out insurance policies on his victims to fund his macabre endeavors. Historians still debate how many people he killed, but currently it sits around 200, probably more. Number 1, the chessboard killer. I actually had never heard of this person today before.
I've never heard of him either.
Olivia told me. This next guy was actually a recommendation from our good old buddy, Olivia. Here is why she thinks he is one of the absolute worst and deserves to be on this list. And I quote, I think his quote, for me, life without murder is like life without food for you.
If you can run across, or if you do run across, anyone that says something like that, dude is crazy. Life without murder for me is like life without food for you.
I felt like the father of all these people, since it was me who opened the door for them to another world. Really sums up how evil he is. He is able to not only justify his killings, but he also feels good and proud of them. When he was caught, he showed no remorse and instead showed a desire to be remembered for the acts. A lot of evil people committed their evil acts with the intention to gain something, but he did it just because he liked it. He knows what he did wrong, but he just doesn't care. Unquote. Yeah, I agree. Alexander Pushkin was built to be a killer, and I truly wish he was never born. Primarily targeting elderly, homeless people, he would lure them to a graveyard to drink on his grandfather's grave, and then beat them to death. He committed the crimes in Bitsap Park, and when he was caught, he confessed to 61 killings and even
61!
Showed in detail how he accomplished each and every one. When a connection to the supermarket he worked at was revealed and they searched his house, they found a chessboard with numbers on almost each square.
Wow.
Hence the name, the Chessboard Killer. And that was our top 10.
Okay, guys. I really didn't talk much in this video. Not like I talk much in any video, but I will be back today with another video. This is just a quick one that I really wanted to do. Comment, subscribe, share. Let me know down below if there are any videos in particular that you want me to react to. But until we meet again, guys.